I'm really brainwashing myself with these different messages, and then I don't even know what I want. So even if you're not a mom, but you're a woman listening to this, you might be thinking, wait, intuitive eating? Like my intuition's telling me to have a donut.
When it comes to intuition, it's really like an internal GPS system.
Yeah.
So a lot of times the ways that I help women get into their intuition is by first doing kind of like a detox process, like we talked about, of like removing all of the external things and cues that are telling us who we should be, what we should look like, what we should eat.
Hi, my name is Aggie, and this is Biohacking Bestie. The one-stop shop for a modern queen, where you can find biohacking courses, self-growth courses, and where you can find the most incredible community of women so you can hit all of your biohacking goals and beyond. Hi, besties. Today, you get to actually meet my actual bestie, Sophie.
Aww.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
This is a completely very biased podcast because Sophie and I are friends in real life and we adore each other. And we'll talk about motherhood and running a business and superfoods and everything in between. So first of all, Sophie, happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
Do you want to share?
Just turned 40.
Whoa, which is insane because you
Yeah.
will never tell.
Oh, thank you.
So happy birthday
Thank
on
you.
behalf of everyone watching this.
Thank you. It's a big one.
It is a big one. How does it feel to be 40?
You know, I feel like it's the first time I feel like I'm my age.
Wow.
Like I just,
Like in a good way?
yeah. I
Yeah.
feel like I'm just like, I have 3 kids. I'm married. We have a beautiful home. I've spent 20 years creating a beautiful career and life. And I think I really was born like my name means wisdom. Sophia means wisdom.
Oh,
So I do feel like I have a deep innate wisdom and intuition, which we'll talk about later. We all do. And I feel like I never really felt my age. Like it was like, yay, I'm 30, yay, I'm 25. But I actually feel like it's integrated and like it's aligned.
like your mindset and your body and everything
Yeah.
just like fully. Because would you say that you were like an old soul?
Yeah, I think so.
And just
Yeah,
feeling-
my astrologer says that I'm an old soul, but this is a very new human experience.
Oh,
She's like, I don't see this a lot. Like you're a very old soul, but you're new to this human
oh wow. Is it
thing. Like a Palladian, like
Oh,
I know nothing about Palladians. Like I'm a very earthly, grounded person. I'm triple earth in astrology. So I'm
Oh,
just
wow.
like, I'm very here. So I don't really let my mind go to
Yeah,
like
yeah,
aliens
yeah.
and planets. So I need to look a little more into it now that I'm like a Palladian.
That's so cool. Okay, so we're gonna start by some sunshine drops because honestly, you are all sunshine.
Mm.
So tell me what I'm doing and how much am I putting in and
Yeah.
what is it that we're doing right now?
Yes. So this is liquid chlorophyll. It's a concentrated chlorophyll. If you think about it, also has some mint in it just to kind of lighten it up because not everyone loves the green flavor of chlorophyll. I do, but the
How
mint.
many drops am I doing?
Keep going. I would do a couple because of the amount of water you have. You have about
That's 2 cups.
I would do another couple of
Yeah.
droppers full because it only fills up halfway. Yep. And because you're healthy, someone just starting out might want to just have a tiny bit.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, maybe if you haven't had a salad in a while, you might want to just do a couple drops worth and then build your way up. It's a very concentrated chlorophyll. Chlorophyll is what makes plants green. So it's the process of photosynthesis. It is like drinking liquid sunshine. So that's why they're called sunshine drops, because what makes plants green is the process of photosynthesis. And so you're quite literally drinking sunshine. You're getting all of the greens that we want, all the vitamins, the nutrients, the micronutrients of chlorophyll and of the plants that we're all eating all the time.
Oh my God, looks amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna have a first sip just to kick it off. Mm.
Very subtle.
Oh, I
mint
love the
flavor.
mint.
Mhm.
That's super cool because chlorophyll can be quite intense.
Yeah, and,
Like-
and mint is really great for bloating and just kind of digestive and let me say that again. Digestion in general is really great for mint. So I used to back in the day, like add chlorophyll when I would travel. I would add it post long flight, add chlorophyll to my water, and then bring mint separately and like add a digestible, edible mint to it, really high quality. And I'm like, oh, I'll just combine them into a product because I
So
love
smart.
it so much personally.
So let's talk about it, right? Because it's like let's talk about your journey in general. Were you always someone who ate really healthy? And what would you say was like the pivotal moment for you to start like diving into health more?
Yeah, I think I had a pretty normal, okay, let me back up. That's not true. My mom was a holistic nurse practitioner. She passed away last year. And she's so with me. She's here right now. So proud of me. But she was a holistic nurse practitioner. So I actually didn't grow up in a very conventional home. But I did love like junk food and eat whatever, like when I could, like in the cafeteria, I'd buy a cookie or whatever. But at home, she always did kind of like the weirder foods. Like I was the only one with whole wheat toast or bread and organic and whole milk and like all those things.
And all of those years ago, it probably was even
it was so weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, why do I have to the brown bread? Like, I don't want the wheat. Give us like the junk food, you know? And then she became a single mom. And over those years when she was working 3 jobs, we definitely were eating like Chef Boyardee out of a can and like whatever survival mode, at those points. So I've lived different versions, but I think I've always had a pretty balanced view on food until I got to college. And then in college, I moved to LA, and I had 2 roommates at UCLA who grew up in LA. And that was like a totally different way of living where like they were dieting and trying to be skinnier and like things I just had never really thought about. I just like was in a body. I wasn't like, I was comfortable with myself, but I wasn't like trying to change my body. I was just active in high school. And then when I moved into the apartment with them at UCLA, everything kind of shifted. And I was like, oh, we're dieting now. Okay. And some foods are bad and some foods are good. And they're like, don't eat that and eat that. And that was really.
And you're like midway, like through biting something. It's like, this is so bad for you. And you're like, okay.
Yeah. I think their thing was, what was the trend then? It was like Mediterranean diet was their thing. So that was very like, which is a great diet. But just any diet in my mind is just not really doesn't really work for me. Is like it finding diets in all these different books or what people tell you to do for your body just isn't intuitive and doesn't work for me. Because if someone's telling me to do something, then it's not my own will. It's not my own power. It's not coming from within. It's coming from an outside source. So whether or not that is the right diet for me or not, it's never going to feel fully right if I'm just doing what people are telling me what to do.
Yeah,
does that make sense?
No, and it translates into every single area of your life, which I love that we both have authority issues over there.
So much so.
Yeah, like not loving.
Like even if it's the right thing to do, like if you're telling me to do it, then I'm definitely going to question that.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, and then imagine like 3 kids that you're managing.
Yeah.
Right? So like on these days, I'm like doing a shoot or whatever, and I'm just like, you're wearing a million hats, you're doing all the things, and like gracefully, but on the outside, but really you're like the wheels are constantly spinning,
like,
and you're like, shit, I didn't do that thing, and like I didn't call them back, and like it's just constant.
I think for us women, it is because I'm like sitting here and I'm like, okay, I see it's 11:15. Yeah. By the time we wrap, it's like 2:30. I need to feed Joshua because he'll make this. Yeah. And if I order after this podcast, he's gonna be really hungry on set. So I'm like, oh shit.
He passes out on set.
Yeah. So it is funny how like the nurture is like so strong in women.
Yeah. No, my husband would just be like sitting there like, oh, sorry, I forgot.
Yeah. He'll be like,
you can just run out to the grocery store.
Yeah.
Go to Bonds.
It is funny for us women that we're just like
we like overthink.
Yeah, like is it good? Okay, so let's talk about it. Like, how is that helpful in like managing food, and how is that actually like making sure that our cortisol is just like off the roofs? And
so this is something that's very connected actually to all of the things that we have been talking to. I think the things that we've been talking about. I think that generally speaking, women keep themselves stuck in different spirals of control in an effort to do things right and to be happy, but they're actually creating more stress in their lives. You know, what was just happening, I don't necessarily think that that's true. I think that you're taking care of what needs to be taken care of. And I think that sometimes we do over control and make our lives more complicated and add extra stress. I'm speaking about myself as well. Sometimes delegating will clear that up. And other times it's just like our own sense of control and need to control that is making things harder.
Yeah, it's super hard to delegate. You know, it's like I could have just asked someone to like, let's just have it schedule for 2 instead of like adding that another thing to my plate that is just now running in the background, making sure that I'm like.
And so then how will this shift for the next time you do a shoot? Will you learn from your mistake and delegate ahead of time, or will you just do this again?
Exactly, right? Yeah. So that's a great example, because I actually had an opportunity to order it 2 hours ago. And I was like, oh, I'll just reheat once the food is here so it can wait for us. And I was like, no, it's better when it's fresh. You know, like this perfectionist. Like I need to order
But that's not what it's about.
No.
It's the thing that, like, why are you doing that?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Let's go there.
And that's why I was saying, like, I have 3 kids. Like, I see those moments where I'm like, what's taking me away from my present moment?
Mm-hmm.
And is there a way to keep me present if someone else does that thing?
Mm-hmm.
And letting go of the control of, will it be exactly the way I did it and perfect? First of all, I'm not perfect. I could easily make a mistake on that order or whatever the thing is. But really just releasing that need to hold all those balls in the air. We are, regardless, going to be having a lot of things that are important that we have to be doing. But there's certain things that we really don't need. That delegating 80% of these things and trusting that it's just better that way, so it frees up our own space and we can be more content and happy and present and less stressed. That's been the biggest game changer in my own life in the last, I'd say, like 5 years.
So let's talk about your journey. So like, you are a mama of 3. Like, how is that journey for you, and how is motherhood? How has motherhood changed you?
Oh my goodness. Well, I was a really young mom. I became pregnant with my first, who's now 13 and a half, when I was 26. 25, I got pregnant. 26, I had him. We had our second Leo when I was 28. So had them back to back. I always knew I wanted to be a mom. And in my mind, I knew I wanted to be a young mom. Like I wasn't ever someone.
It's funny that you think it's young, because in Europe, that's normal.
Well, in my hometown on the East Coast, it's normal. Like I'm old on the East Coast. Like my small town in Maryland, that's old.
But it's such a percent. In LA, I'm like 25.
And you know what I
what
realized?
happened?
This is an aside, but the party that we went to on Saturday night, our friend's 40th birthday, I realized yesterday we were the only parents there.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure we're the only one out of all those people.
And we're all around 40.
And everyone's 30 to 45, 50.
Yeah.
And like in LA, and especially in our community, I think, we were the only parents. Like that's crazy to me.
I didn't realize, but it's true.
Yeah. So.
But you guys, the funny thing is, because it's like, you are so fun. I never think of you as parents, like in a good way, you know, like, because you're just like so playful. And I think it's what's like to your testament of like, it's cool that I want to talk about it, because like when I'm a mom, like I want to be as fun as you. I don't know how you do it. And for me, it's like, I think it's super impressive that you have the brand and everything you're doing, but knowing you personally, like the way you live is even more inspiring, right? Because it's like on the outside, you know, there's so many other people that are crushing technically, and then behind the scenes they're miserable, but you're just like so full of energy, so full of presence, like such a good friend and a mama of 3. And it's like, how does one do it?
Well, I will say I am a generator in human design, so I have a lot of natural energy, as you do. You're a generator as well. My husband's also a generator, and I like the most important thing that I take from that, human design in general, is like, as a generator, my job is to be aligned with my purpose and what excites me and lights me up. And if I'm doing things that light me up, like philosophy, like being a mom, whatever it is, every single moment of every single day, trying to do as many things that light me up as possible, that gives me energy. It's not draining my energy. So although it seems to most people that I'm doing a million things, and I'm in my purpose and in my joy. So it doesn't feel draining. The moment that things feel draining, that's my message to myself to say something's a little off, time to delegate, or time to rest, or time to shift things around, because this workout isn't serving me anymore, or this friendship.
I have a great question then, because I 100% in my business, I'm like, if I love running a business, and then there's this one thing that I absolutely hate, and then if I do more of it, I just start avoiding work altogether, because I have to really love it. But here is my big fear, that if I'm planning on having children, and like, how can I make it happen if there's something about kids that I'm like super aligned and super excited about, and there will be things that I'm super not excited about, and like, how much of it can I delegate?
It's the same thing.
What is it for you that you feel like there's something about motherhood that you feel like doesn't spark the joy? It's like a little boring, and like, or maybe not fully aligned.
I mean, like doing the afternoons from like right after school, doing the pickups and driving them from place to place, that doesn't light me up. It drains me. I'm like, tired. I want to get my work done. There's other things I could be doing with my time. So I hire a babysitter from 3:15 to, 5:30 or 6, she is on with them. And if they have things to do or they have auditions or they're going to a practice or whatever it is, that busyness and craziness that doesn't feel good in my body, she does all of that. And that's delegation. And they love her. She's young and she's like 21 years old. Like she's actually closer in age to them than I am to her.
Yeah, that's so funny.
So they're like buddies and she's great. And it's like finding those people you trust and making it clear with boundaries, like what your needs are. And then like, she's like a dream babysitter, and now everyone's happy. They're happy. I'm happy. I'm doing what serves me. And then when they come home, I'm full of so much more joy and more like fun to be around instead of like that martyr mom where it's like, I'm just so drained all the time. I'm always tired. Like that's your choice.
Yeah. Because I think the illusion that like the more time we spend with somebody, the better, even in friendships, like we should spend more time together. But like, isn't it, what's your goal in friendships? Like for me, it's just to connect. And if I'm drained or if I'm too busy, like I can't connect over 5 hours.
Sure,
it's, like,
you don't need to connect 24/7. You just want to feel connection. That's what relationships are great
for. But the
for.
illusion is that the connection comes from the amount of time spent together, but that's not necessarily true, especially
Absolutely
those
not.
like late.
No, and it's quality and it's presence. So if I'm going to be more present with my kids after I work out, after I do meditation, after they're at school, like people will be like, oh, do you homeschool your kids? I'm like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I love them and absolutely not. I need my own life.
Yeah.
And that's part of it is like, I can't wait for Monday. Weekends are great. We have a lot of family time. It's insane. I'm running them all around. We have, deep connection. And by Monday, I'm like, I love Mondays because the kids go back to school and that's okay. They love their school. I love my work and my play and my beach walks and whatever it is that I'm going to fill my day with. And then when I go to receive them for dinner time and connection, I'm so present. We can play board games. We can play as opposed to me being like really depleted and tired, which like no one wants to be that person in friendship or in motherhood.
And I think we have such a privilege because me listening to this, I'm like, wow, I'm so inspired. And I totally agree with everything you're saying. But I also realized that having this mindset where you can say these things and not being judged for it and not feeling guilt and shame it's something that we're slowly getting to. But I think if there was one wish for this podcast to land in women is just to hear what you're saying. It's like, wow, a depleted, tired mom is not a good mom. Like self-preservation for you to make sure that it's okay that you don't want to spend 24/7 with my kids. I know so many girlfriends that are moms and they feel guilty for saying like, oh, I can't wait for them to go to school. And they're like crying to me. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I said it. And I'm like, it's so funny how like there's such a big shame around.
There's stigma around all of it for moms. For dads, it's not.
No.
Dads show up for dinner and everyone's like, wow, they showed
You're
up
there
to
for dinner.
Great, you showed up to the baseball game. You're such a good dad. Whereas for moms, we're expected to do it all. And we have to
24/7.
We have to change this. We can't work, also contribute to the household and make money, be amazing wives, control the social life, have great friendships and full social calendars, and help out at the school and be great moms and somehow keep a great body. Like we can't do it all. And, and in the 50s, it was flipped, right? We were only at home. We were expected to cook and clean, do all of that. Now we've kind of started to move towards this place where women are meant to now contribute.
Work. Yeah. And then we're kind of slow, like, how about
coming
a balance?
Back from that? So now how do we come back from that? If you are someone who wants to work and you find pleasure in working and bringing in money and contributing, or maybe you're a single mom and you don't have a choice. But like for me, I don't ever not want to work. It's not even about the money. It's about passions and purpose and expression. My own expression separate from my children.
Yeah.
And they're always a part of me, but like same with going out with friends. They're not present when I'm out having a good time with my husband. We have our own relationship. And that's really, really important, is to create this bond between my husband and I, because that's where it all started. It's about
how long have you been together for?
My husband and I have been together. We've known each other and started dating 20 years ago.
Wow.
Fall.
Wow.
We've been married for 14 years. 14
wow.
years. Yeah.
Wow.
I was really young when we met. I was just 20 and he was 27. And yeah, we went through a lot. We grew up together.
Yeah.
We have so many iterations of our relationship. But the most important part of our world is our relationship. So whatever it takes, whether it's going out or doing therapy or going on adventures or whatever the thing is, our love is the center, is the nucleus to our family. So going out and having friends and you say like, you know, I want to be like that too. Like it's non-negotiable to me.
Yeah.
We have to.
I want to wrap up the kids and
Yeah.
I want to transition to your beautiful relationship. But do you remember what I told you when you invited me over for Shabbat dinner like ages ago?
What did you say?
I said, how do you make such cute kids? Because they were so cute. And then I texted Jacob because he wasn't there. I was picking him up from the airport and I said like, oh my God, this is like first time ever when I said, I was like, wow, like I would love that family. Like more so than any other, like like every time I meet like 8 or 12-year-old, they're awkward. They don't like talking to adults. They're on their iPads, like completely disconnected. And it's just like, hi, like that was me, like super awkward.
Yeah.
Your son would come up and just like, hey, can I like, do you want anything to eat, to drink? There's like, this is delicious, like super sweet
Normal
to
people.
you, like hugging you, like want to give me a hug. I'm like, oh my God, they're so open. They're so cool. I was like, wow, like I haven't seen like a smart, open hearted 12-year-old that wasn't awkward about an older auntie like myself.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I think that there's a couple things at play there. One, I think the most important thing that I've valued throughout time with parenting is we travel a lot, as you do. And even when we had no money, we traveled a lot on a budget. We figured out how to make it work because I have traveled since I was a child. My dad's a documentary filmmaker and I've gone to really cool places in the world with him. And I value that. I value different cultures, different ways of living lives, different, socioeconomic, like all of it, the whole spectrum of being a human being.
Yeah. And I love that because people are like, I don't have money. I'm like, how much do you spend on Amazon and Target every month?
It doesn't have to be that expensive to travel. And we're now a family of 5. And there's so many ways to do it on a budget. And the amount of like hostels we say, it's fun. It's fun to travel with your family. And most importantly, I think that's really what shows like the quality of human that a child is like their ability to be dropped anywhere and be able to interact. So be able to talk to anyone of any age, any background, like that is more important than how smart they are. Like that's a skill that these kids should be so lucky to have. And I don't feel like a lot of kids have that. I feel like they're kind of awkward. And like you said, so there's that. One, I think that their travel has impacted them in a really beneficial way. This is so random and not relatable, but they're all actors and models. And so they grew up on set. So they can talk to anyone. They can talk to the gaffer. They can talk to the stunt guy. They can talk to then they know how to be they weren't treated like babies ever. They were treated like friends. And because I was such a young mom, I had so many friends around that helped me raise my children and continue to. And it's not like you're the kids, go sit at the kid table. Like we're all in this together. And that's community. That's how we all used to be, right? Yeah. In tribes. So there's that. And the second thing I'll say, and we won't go too far into this, but I'm super passionate about it right now, is the devices and the screens have become such a problem that it's making these kids very socially awkward. And they have an inability because they all are creating this new wave of kids with ADHD, mental health problems, anxiety, social anxiety, especially after COVID. And you can look at the book if anyone is curious, going deeper in more of the research around this, how things shifted at 2010 because it went from the flip phone to a smartphone and what it did to our children, again, with mental health. The Anxious Generation is a really great book that's out right now. So check that out if you're interested. I'm listening to it on Audible and it blows me away. That is a huge thing that you're talking about, is like these kids are developing social anxiety and don't know how to connect anymore because they're just scrolling and on social media and just
because you get in your head, right? Like, and would you say the book is worth listening to if you're not a parent?
100%. Even for ourselves, just to know like how things are built online to make them more addictive and to make it like a slot machine so that it's like ding, ding, ding and get point. Like it's all built around keeping you on the phone as long as possible. That's the idea. And I'm going to connect this back. So the more time you are on your phone, for example, the less intuitive you are.
Yes, 100%. And I
Right?
love that you brought that back. So I want to wrap this up because
Yeah.
I know so many moms that feel like, oh my God, without an iPad, what am I going to do with my children? They're going to get aggressive or grumpy, or like, how did you deal with that?
So if you think about screens as kind of like sugar, like when you go on a sugar detox and you're like, I've been overdoing it. Like I just was the holidays, let's say. And like everyone knows what it feels like after overconsumption from Thanksgiving to New Year's. We're eating all the cookies, all the things, all the parties. It's great, right? But it's an overabundance of these great things, of these great celebratory events. And you're over it. You're like, I don't want to drink anything. I don't want to eat anything. Like I just want a vegetable. So that same idea is like that. It's out of balance. And so on January 1, we're like, I want to just take like a week without any sugar, right? And I'll talk to my kids about this. It's not in like a dieting way. It's like, we ate all those cookies and cupcakes and stuff. Like, I really want to give my body a break. And like, I find myself wanting it a lot because I'm kind of like in that spiral. Same thing goes with screens. That first week might be hard. You're detoxing. Yeah. Same for kids. Kids, that first week, I mean, honestly, my kids are like in 3 days, they're less, they don't even care about the screens anymore. But between 3 to 7 days, I'd say on average for kids, take it away. Be ready to, yes, be a little bit more present as a parent, but especially for the older kids, it's not that hard. Let them be bored. It is a gift to be bored. When my kids are like, I'm bored, I'm like, good, go outside and go stare at the sky. That's what I did. Like I'd like stare at those clouds. I didn't have an iPhone. Yeah. I had to dial up AOL. Like I had to like wait for 30 minutes just to get on AOL, like AIM. It's so okay for them to be bored. And that's something I think it's a disservice that we're giving to kids, thinking we have to entertain them constantly. Let them, like now, because they're like not having screens at all during school days, when they're bored, they're the most creative. Leo, like, oh, what was that book? I was writing that story. And then like Noah will just sit down at the piano and start playing piano. Like they're actually more creative and imaginative and active and moving because they're not sedated by this addictive tablet.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful because you mentioned about the anxious generation, but I feel like in a way we were a little older when all the iPhones came out. Like I was a teenager. But I do remember like I spent so much time on my phone. How can I possibly be connected to my intuition when I wake up, look at the phone and being told, eat this, not that. While my brain is in the very, suggestive state, and I'm like listening to all of this and right before I go to bed. So just like I'm really brainwashing myself with these different messages, and then I don't even know what I want. So even if you're not a mom, but you're a woman listening to this, you might be thinking, wait, intuitive eating? Like my intuition's telling me to have a donut and have a cookie. So I don't know if I should listen to it.
Or even like, what is my intuition? Right? I think that's more of the question. And I think when it comes to intuition, it's really like an internal GPS system.
Yeah.
So a lot of times the ways that I help women get into their intuition is by first doing kind of like a detox process, like we talked about, of like removing all of the external things and cues that are telling us who we should be, what we should look like, what we should eat, diets,
what should be doing our age,
how we should be moving.
And I also love, because it's like one of the things, I was trying to give you a compliment. I don't know if it came across that way when I just said that, like, well, you're so youthful and you're like one of the coolest parents, because sometimes we just become the people we thought we should be. Like now that I'm a mom, I have to be more serious,
know? Or and like now that I'm 40, like I better let myself go. Or now that I'm 40, like I'm like, life is over.
You
like,
can't go dance, or you shouldn't be travel as much. You should be more responsible.
Yeah, we're parents. Like we shouldn't go out on a Saturday night and have fun. We should be just parents. Here's the thing about all of this is like when you remove the shoulds, our societal pressure, this is one of the biggest issues I've seen with intuition, especially with women, but everyone. If you're someone who has been told, which this society, I know this like Western society for sure can understand this. If you're constantly being told that success is the thing that's going to make you happy, then you chase success. And then you wake up one day at 42 or 35 or 32 and you're not happy. And you're like, but I'm so successful and I got all these accolades and I graduated, did all these great things outside of yourself. I have this house or this car or whatever. Like this relationship, it's outside of you.
Mm.
And that isn't going to make you happy. It's the inside, the following your intuition, doing the deep work on yourself. That's what's going to actually make you happy. Both are good. There's nothing wrong with making good money. There's nothing wrong with having a great career. There's nothing wrong with like having a great relationship as long as it's a reflection of you and the work that you're doing. So intuition, again, is like the internal GPS system. So for anyone listening, there's some things that you can kind of think about as you're like, what is intuition? So when you get in the car, do you always immediately put on the GPS, even if you know where you're going?
I sometimes do, yeah.
Right? I sometimes do too. The times when I'm feeling like I want to play with my trust a little bit, I won't. And that's something that can help me connect to my intuition. Or when I'm feeling off and things just are not going right and I feel like I've been maybe scrolling too much or beating myself up or feeling like I need to lose weight or change something about myself, or I feel anxiety or depression or something just feels off. One of the first things I've always done since I was like, 20, is get on a bike, a real bicycle, and go for a bike ride without my phone, or go for a jog, like in a new city, and get lost. Let myself get lost and then find my way back. And sometimes I've been like in the middle of Paris, like don't know French, like getting lost, getting directions on a napkin. It starts raining. Like the most amazing things happen when you just trust that you'll find your way back. And that's really what the whole thing is with intuition, is like, it's your body's trying to communicate with you, whether it's movement or people in your life or directions you should be going. It's sending signals and signs constantly. But we're listening to this external world of like social media and TV and news and media and friends and community and getting advice instead of trusting our own voice and our own wisdom. And the more that we do that, maybe we go on this hunt to get lost, right? We go for a jog later and you get lost and you start noticing like signs and like, oh, that's like the day my mom got married. And then like you go into that shop and then you go inside and you find this thing. It's like then the world starts to offer answers and your intuition wants to communicate with you, but you're just not letting it because you're forcing it to be quiet.
Some of my most favorite friends are the ones, I think Albert Einstein said that some people live like nothing is a miracle and the other ones think like everything is. And I feel like the people that I'm most in love with are the ones that are like, can you believe that it happened? It was the same number. And I saw 1111 when this phone call happened. Like, what are the chances? And they see
magic everywhere.
The magic, the synchronicity, and everything that has happened for me personally in my life, like that's magical. I could just say like, of course should have happened. Like, super entitled.
Yeah.
And I think my biggest pet peeve is entitlement.
Oh, me too.
Because, and I still have some of it as well.
Yeah.
That I'm like, and I think that's what bothers. If you see it, then you have it.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Sometimes, I don't know. I think the abuse of it really bothers me, the entitlement of it. I might have it also, but I think that isn't something, a quality that I really have. Definitely some things do trigger me when it's a trigger because it's something I need to look at. Entitlement is just something that, it just rubs me the wrong way because everything is a miracle. Yeah. And we should be so lucky. Like the fact that we're a living, breathing person on this planet right now, like after I had my babies, every single time, like, how are they so perfect? For weeks and weeks and weeks, you're just like marveling at this beauty, 10 fingers, 10 toes, perfect face. Like everything's working. All the organs are where they're supposed. How? 3 times, and we're all walking around these living, breathing, thinking, intuitive, beautiful beings that are creating miracles in every moment. And we forget. We just forget. So a more simple version of this, if you don't want to go on a jog and get lost in the rain and be crazy like me, is just go for a walk in your neighborhood without your phone and marvel at the beauty. Notice the magic. Notice the colors. They will become brighter when your head's not in your phone and you have no distractions. You get to actually hear the birds and notice things that maybe you didn't notice before, or say hi to a neighbor or make a new friend. There's so many things that are happening out there, but we are so distracted all the time that we forget to stop and smell the roses, right?
So beautiful. So what would you say is intuitive eating, intuitive movement, and intuitive living? Kind of, we understand the living is following your intuition. How does it translate into eating and movement?
Yeah, so
give an example.
Again, I think really removing anyone telling you, like, I think it's important to test things out and be like your own detective when it comes to how to move, how to eat, how to live. So maybe you do buy a bunch of different books that tell you like different diets and you try them out each for 2 weeks. You try each diet, you feel it, you take notes. You're just curious. It's not right and wrong. It's just like curiosity. This is what worked with my body. This felt good digestively. This lit me up. I felt really glowy or I felt really dull.
I love that you bring that up because a lot of times people think that intuition is something that you feel before starting something. And sometimes you just have to try a diet to see if it works for you. Yeah. Right? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
same with movement. How are you going to know if you don't give it a try?
Yeah, I'm feeling ballet is not for me.
Right, no, like touch the front of the door. No, it's not a fit.
Yeah.
No, it's
not that woo-woo. It's actually just like, go see how your body feels after.
It's
like
connecting to your own rhythm, your own response and reaction in your body. It's always communicating to you. So if you are someone that loves fruit in the morning and you do a test for 2 weeks and you always have fruit in the morning and you're like, I think I love fruit, but I don't really know if that's truly what I should be doing. Let me just try. So for 2 weeks, you have a bunch of fruit right when you wake up and nothing else for an hour. And you notice like, oh, my digestive system is better. It's running smoothly. My skin is glowing. My eyes are whiter, like whatever the thing is. Or if you're someone who then gets bloated and feels ravenous because you really should have protein in the morning or whatever it is, then you've learned. There's nothing wrong with that diet. There's nothing wrong with choosing those foods first thing. It's what makes you feel the most aligned and lit up, whether it be movement, relationships. We don't have to overcomplicate this intuitive being. Intuition is within us. We have to remove the obstacles and things that are distracting us from listening and hearing the voice of our intuition. And then separately, there's like a primal instinct, and that's different. That is a first thing. Instincts is something like you meet someone, you have an instinct. And you don't really know what it is, but you have an instinct. Typically, it's important to listen to that instinct, right? Or maybe like you're raising money for your company and you meet someone and you get an instinct about them. They're a possible investor. Pretty much 100% of the time, your instincts are correct. So trust that. And we, especially as women, because we're people pleasers, don't. Yeah. We want to make them feel good. We don't want to make them, what if we're making a mistake? We overthink instead of just trusting our instincts. That's different than intuition. Intuition is like that GPS I was talking about, like a soul GPS.
And I love that it's both instinct and intuition comes from within. Yeah, which is beautiful. I had a question for you. 1 second. I just like, as you were talking, I was like,
I want to say also, like, when it comes to intuitive movement and intuitive eating, they both have shifted over time for me and my clients as it should. It's not like
I know
one fit forever. You like do like, what's the word? Like
one and done. Like, okay, if I always had that, then I will
like
have
one fit. Like
one size fits all.
One size fit. It's not one size fits all ever in anything.
Yeah.
Like my husband works with people who are struggling with different like drugs, alcohol. Just because you were sober at 20 from alcohol, and this might be controversial, but this is the way that we both believe. If you went sober at 20 because you had an alcohol problem and you went to college and in that context you overdrank and you didn't go to class and you failed out or whatever the circumstances, at 40, there's not necessarily any reason that you should still be sober. It might not be alcohol. It might have been the context. It might have been your experience. Same thing goes with food and diets and movement and all these different things that make up a life. You know, running when I was 25, like longer distances, served me. I had the time. I had the space. My joints were healthy. Great. It felt wonderful. Now, maybe I don't want to do long distance running. Maybe I want to do more sprints on like a treadmill that's more forgiving or yoga or something that like intuitively feels right for this season of my life. And shifting like the seasons that we go through in nature, it's very similar. Like what season are you? And you talk about like cycles, same idea. They're different seasons for women.
Yeah.
So honoring that and tuning into your intuition and saying like, what would serve me in this moment? In anything, eating, getting quiet. Like, what do I actually want to do tomorrow for a workout? Like this thing's trendy. You know, Barry's class is like a trending class. But like, what do I actually want to do? I actually want to go to hot yoga and stretch and connect with myself and be in the dark room and connect to my heart and my intention, right? Or I want to work hard. It's been a while since I've taken myself to my edge, I want to go to a berries class. Does that make sense?
100%. And I think when I work with women, and the example of fruit was just so telling, because I remember speaking to this woman not too long ago, and she was like, so I'm vegan. I've been having fruit every morning and I feel absolutely terrible. But what do you think I should do?
Right.
And I'm like, did you just hear yourself? Because I'm like,
You
it
just
doesn't
said the
matter. I'm
answer.
like,
yeah.
Why would you ask me? And
Correct.
she's like, yeah, because I'm curious. Because it's like, I've always in Ayurveda, it's always says to have fruit in the morning. So I really want to have like fruit in the morning.
Right.
But I'm like, but you just said how you feel.
It doesn't make you feel good. So that's your answer.
Yeah.
Right.
And so a lot of times, like when we ask for, it's almost like we ask for permission. Like I'm like, you don't need my permission.
A woman. Yeah. Women ask for permission way too much. And they also apologize way too much. At my yoga retreats, one of the first rules we say is like, don't say you're sorry. Because it's like we're saying sorry for existing. Like, oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. Oh, sorry. It's like, you should hear these women. It's like a dozen times in the first hour, they're saying sorry.
I'm the same.
So
I say sorry every 2 seconds.
The only reason you should be saying sorry is if you actually hurt someone or someone just got hurt. There's no reason to say sorry unless it's like, if you're late, like, okay,
yeah.
I'm sorry I'm late. But if you're just existing and you like accidentally fall or trip or drop something.
Yeah,
like,
it's a lot of times when it's like someone just like stumbles and you're like, oh, I'm sorry. I'm like, no, you stumbled. Like,
no big deal.
Yeah.
Like, whoops.
Yeah, so interesting. What have you seen in your practice? Like, how has women's lives transform by intuitive eating? Because it might be like, oh, like can I lose significant amount of weight by intuitive eating? Doesn't I have to like count my macros and calories and whatnot?
So the beautiful thing about intuitive eating is that there is no counting of anything. It's connecting to your own truth and that same like GPS we've been talking about. So your body is going to communicate to you. This takes a little more time than a crash diet, but it's more sustainable. So intuitive eating is a lifestyle choice versus like, I want to lose weight fast. Because a lot of women have lost track of their intuition. So if you don't have that loud cue, then how will you know what it's telling you, right? So it takes a little while to remove the things that are blocking you. And then also develop some practices around intuition in general, which I can share more about, but developing some daily rituals and practices that can help you tune into your intuition so that voice is loud.
Yeah, tell me.
So meditation is great. I think.
What's your favorite kind? What's like, is it?
I like a guided meditation. Yeah, I get a little bit lost when I'm just sitting in silence. So I like a guided meditation and there's nothing wrong with that. If you're someone that likes to move, like a walking meditation can be great, like putting on a guided walking meditation or counting the steps that you're taking in between things to really be present. There's no like judgment around what's right or wrong. I like a guided one just because then it keeps me on track. But I always feel better after meditation. I do one right when I wake up. A guided meditation is the first thing I do when I grab my phone. My alarm goes off. I grab my phone from the bathroom. I bring it into bed. I lay it next to me and I start the meditation. It's like 10 to 15 minutes. My kids will come in and join me and they know what I'm doing. And sometimes they'll leave and sometimes they'll stay. But it's a beautiful practice and habit. And it starts my day off for success because it's getting me out of like reactive brain. It's not like who needs me from my phone. It's like, what do I need? And then I'm filling up my cup in that way. And I'm starting out by like really fine tuning my intuition just from that first moment. And then, there's so many things. I think somatic practices can be really powerful. So tapping, if you've ever done any like tapping practices.
I haven't done, but like I'm
great.
very like I always hear so many great things. I haven't.
It could be good to like bring it into a yoga practice or into a meditative practice.
So tell us, for those who don't know what tapping is.
Yeah, so you can do it to retrain your brain from a negative loop, or you can do it to use it in a positive way. So an example, like if you have a negative loop around maybe your body.
Or let's just go for like, emotional eating, right? Like
so emotional eating. So saying something positive as you're tapping different parts of your body, and you don't have to get over, you can look up on YouTube like tapping and find a good video of like where to tap, but it's real. I kind of just do my own thing. So in terms of intuitive eating or overeating, is that what you said? You could say, I am powerful and I am in control. food is healing my body with every bite. And you would just say it over and over and over again. You could even say like, food is healing me with every bite. Food is healing me with every bite. Food is healing
I
me
have
with every
enough
bite.
of it, right?
Yeah, there's always enough. Like, and repeating whatever the thing is, the positive thing over and over again. I'll even like get really into it and get into my body in all the different ways just to kind of like move the energy out and through. Because that's a lot of what it is we're blocking ourselves, we're distracting ourselves, but we take on a lot of other people's energy, whether it be through social media, our friends, that energy, because energy just kind of goes everywhere. It's not discerning. It's not like, oh, this isn't for you. Like it just leaks in. And we get leaky energy all the time. We give off leaky energy when we're not really in a good space. And we take on other people's energy and other things. We get energy from food, good food, bad food, however you want to label it, and people and things and experiences. And so we have to know how to discern like what is ours and what is not ours.
Yeah.
And especially for women, and have a detoxification or a cleansing or a purging system, whether it be tapping, like that's not my thought. That's not true. And it's creating anxiety in my body. Okay, I want to get rid of that. What am I going to do? Another thing I love to do is releasing through dance and shaking. So putting on 3 or 4 songs at random, like your favorite playlist, and just put it on random.
I just ask Alexa. I was like, Alexa, play some dance songs. And it just like every time is a different song.
Nice. And notice like what comes up, right? Like it might be something that like there's something in the lyrics, or there's always a sign. There's always something like, I think, if you're really listening. So when
you think like everything is magic.
I think everything is magic.
Yeah.
I do.
So then you basically see, it's like, I wonder what's the message from that song.
Yeah. Or just like, I feel like everything's happening for us. Even the really hard, especially the really hard things. Everything's happening for us, not to us. It's happening for us. So yeah. So back to the songs, you play 3 songs, 4 songs on repeat, on random, and you just start to kind of shake. Close your eyes and you shake your hands. You shake your left hand and your right hand and your legs and your hips, and you start to really shake and release. And you can be thinking of the thing you want to release, like binge eating or any energy that is not serving you in your body. You want to release it and give it back to the earth. So you shake it, you throw it to the earth. You can like jump up and down. I like to like jump a lot. Jumping helps me. And then dance and be free and let it go. It can be really emotional. You'll be surprised. Like if you're really connecting to your body and to whatever the thought is of the thing you want to release, it can be really powerful. And you can release energy, emotion, maybe scream. I like to do a tantrum. I do this sometimes in my yoga classes, but like laying down on the ground, maybe after you've done all the shaking, and just have a tantrum like a kid. Like lay down, kick your feet, kick your fists into the ground, hit the ground with your hands and release. Like just really, it's not yours. And then hand to heart and hand to body so that you really feel comforted and like, I got you. And then like in 5 minutes, you feel like you just purged your body of the energy that doesn't serve you or the thoughts that don't serve you. And it can really lighten your load. So your energy load isn't so leaky, you know?
And I mean, so all the animals do it, kids do it. Then we train kids that it's not okay to do it. And then we start accumulating all of those energies and feeling like, oh, now that I'm adult, I can't have a tantrum and I can't like just,
it's so vital to get it out. Scream in a pillow, to have a tantrum. Exactly, animals, that's the way that they release trauma is through shaking. They go through a traumatic event, they shake it off, they move on with their life.
Yeah.
They're not going to talk therapy, right?
Yeah.
The animals, the dogs aren't going to talk therapy for 25 years.
Yeah, but they release everything
through their body.
How do you think has that practice translated into other areas of your life, right? So you're connected to your intuition and you've been happily married for such a long time, which is an achievement in LA. I feel like in the top 1%. So how do you think it has made you a better partner for your husband and for yourself?
It's a good question. I think somatic practices and just continuing to do the work for myself.
So don't get it out on your partner.
Yeah. And just, it just keeps me evolving and growing. And we're meant to evolve and grow. We're not meant to stay the same. And in terms of being a partner, if I release all of that, and a mom and a friend, everything, a person that goes to the grocery store, right? A person who drives a car, like if you're if you're tense all the time and you're holding on to all of this bullshit that doesn't belong to you, and you just let it build up and build up and build up in your body, you're going to pop. You're going to freak out. You're going to have too much. You're going to have overwhelm. And no, then you have really leaky energy and you take it out on everybody else when it's yours. At that point, it's your responsibility, whether or not it started out as yours or not. So it becomes your responsibility. Then it's your job to, whether it be somatic, shaking and tapping into your intuition. What does my body need right now? I don't really have the energy to shake right now and dance. Okay, take a bath in salt. Salt will help remove the toxins and remove the energy. And really, as you wash your body in the shower or in the bath, thinking of the water just washing over and taking away what doesn't serve you. And you have to connect it. It can't just be like a passive experience, right? You have to really like believe in it. Because if you don't believe in it, then what's the point?
Yeah.
In anything. If you don't believe in yourself, if you don't believe in these practices, if you don't believe in your intuition, then like it's not worth even having these conversations to begin with.
You say none of the beauty exists without the work, and all the beauty exists because of the work. What do you mean by that?
A lot of what we've been talking about with the work, I think in the last 20 years especially, I've just done so much work on myself and in our relationship. And now we help people in relationships do deep work and I help a lot of women transform their lives. But it's not just about the end goal of transformation. It's about the process of transformation, like the butterfly, right? That goes through the chrysalis. It is about that process and trusting it and knowing that that work is actually really beautiful within itself. And a lot of times when my clients come to me and they're like, oh, I'm breaking out, I'm gaining weight, I just want to stay home all the time. Like, you're in the chrysalis. Own it. It's beautiful. Like, how cool would it be if we walked around and we were like, we go to a party and we just show up as we are and we're like, I'm in the chrysalis right now. And people just understood it. Like I'm just in the liminal space, the space in between. I'm not there. I'm not there. I'm just here.
I'm not a girl, not yet a woman.
Yeah. So what is that space in between?
Yeah.
Right. And honoring that instead of trying to speed to the next step.
Which is such a beautiful practice, because I think with everything, this is such a practice. And, you get engaged when you're getting married. You're getting married when you're going to have a kid. Absolutely. When you're going to have another one. I'm like, now I'm engaged. And I'm like,
I'm enjoying that.
Yeah.
I'm going to enjoy being engaged. I am a fiance. And that is perfect for right now. And yes, you're planning the wedding, but it's not about that. It's like, that's the next thing.
But it's so delicious to be fiance. And it's such
short.
So short.
Yeah. And all of these things, like, sometimes in pregnancy, like you want to rush it. I was one of those people. I didn't love being pregnant. So like I wanted to rush it. And now I'm like, oh, I wish I could be pregnant again. That'll never happen again. So that we
never say never.
True. So that we don't have these regrets.
Yeah.
Let us be fully present and own the stage of life, the season of life that we're in, whether it be messy, we're in the work, it's ugly. Like, it doesn't always feel good to be in the chrysalis. Oftentimes it doesn't, right? Like, think about what a chrysalis is doing.
Yeah.
Like, it's inside. It has to eat itself. So it's inside this cocoon. It's dark. The caterpillar doesn't know it's about to become a butterfly. It's just like has to eat itself, and it's disgusting. And then it emerges.
That's so beautiful.
We're humans. We're smart enough to understand, the signs, right? Like, okay, I feel like not myself right now. I don't want to look at myself in the mirror. I've heard some of my clients say, then don't. But own where you are and call it out, because it also won't make the time go by as quickly. If you're trying not to look at something, it'll last a lot longer because you're avoiding it. If you're like, this is the space that mommy's in to your kids, and you're like in sweats all the time and feeling like crap, and you're like, mommy's in this chrysalis right now. I'm going through some changes. I'm doing a lot of work on myself. And you can explain it to your kids or explain it to your friends. I've amped up my therapy. I'm really dealing with some childhood trauma or whatever, as specific as you want to get. But I'm in this stage right now. I'm in this liminal space of this chrysalis period, and own it.
And they always know, right? The kids are so intuitive that it's like,
they know something's off.
And if you tell them I'm fine, then that disconnects them from their intuition because they feel like you're not. And so that's really nice. I'm like, oh, mom is telling the truth because I can tell that something is up. What are just to wrap things up, your favorite superfoods?
Good question. I mean, in terms of my own products, I love all of them. I can't pick between them. But every day in my coffee, I add my cacao magic blend, which has reishi and cacao and nibs and hemp seeds and chia seeds. It's absolutely delicious. I add the cacao. There's no sugar in it, just raw, organic. And then I add my cosmic elixir, which is really great ingredients for your brain health and mental state. So it has one specific ingredient. It has Hoshu Wu, which is anti-aging. It has marine collagen, which is a really high quality marine collagen, good for your gut, brain. And it has an ingredient called Mucuna purines, which releases dopamine.
Oh, amazing.
So it's really great for just feeling good and having a better mental state in general. So I put those two things, the cosmic elixir and the cacao magic, in with my coffee and make like this milkshake every morning. And that's like such a dream every morning to start out that way after having like chlorophyll in my water. And then I love a green smoothie, like a big fat green smoothie with all the things. And I add my green dream powder to it and the berry bliss. So the berry bliss is really high in antioxidants, vitamin C, camu, acai, goji berry, all the goodies. And then the green one has spirulina, really high in iron. It has hemp protein. So I do like lots of combos of superfoods and work with them synergistically. And I like to do that, like use them together to create even more magic.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Super inspired. Sophie, where can people find you and where can they find your amazing products?
My own Instagram is sophie.jaffe. My philosophy Instagram is philosophy love. It's philosophy spelled with my name, i.e. Love. And then thephilosophie.com for my website. And yeah, you can DM me. I'm always around answering everything myself.
Amazing. Yeah. Thank you so much for being such a light in my life and as such a great guest. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. Likewise.
Love you.